Digression.
No. I'm not having it.
I mean, is it food we're talking about?
Definitely.
It's very juicy.
Come on.
But I'm just stating facts.
What were we talking about?
Hey guys, salut. My name is Alex and I make food videos on YouTube.
Hello, my name is Josh, and I help Alex to create food videos on YouTube by editing them and critiquing you greatly.
Yeah, you do it with passion and with very... it's very effective when you do so, man. How are you, Josh?
I'm very well. How are you doing?
I'm very well. How was your weekend, man?
It was fantastic. It was, for a change, a lovely, sunny weekend. Spring is coming because I saw some wild garlic. So the first signs of the foraging season to come.
Foraging. I can see you becoming you again. The foraging season is on. Josh is out.
That's it. Life being injected back into me. But yeah, I had a good weekend. I did a whole day of a tree planting, which was,
nice.
Exhausting and charitable. Little humble brag there. Nice. Yeah, and then because of that, we treated ourselves to a big old Chinese takeaway.
Oh, that's the best.
It is really. I mean, I don't know if it's the same for you, but whenever I get Chinese takeaway, firstly, there's way too much food. Always way too much.
Always.
But also, the table is just piled high with different dishes.
It's
Everybody
beautiful.
wants a bit of something different. Yeah, it's great.
There's a sharing element to these dishes every time.
100%. We actually had this conversation.
It's not very COVID friendly, though. I must say.
It's my bubble household. So actually, completely within the law.
I'm not even judging. I don't care. But I'm just saying.
You judge your way. I get what you're saying, though. Sharing a meal wouldn't be that COVID friendly. Well, maybe that's why we enjoyed it so much, because it's a rare occasion now.
Yes.
But you're right. Lots of different dishes on the table, and we even talked about my friend whose bubble house I visit. He basically said, "Are you wanting to are you up for sharing everything, or do you just want what you're getting?" I was like, "No, don't be crazy. Like, of course I want to share everything."
Yeah.
But
what did you have on the table? What was on the table?
So we had salt and pepper chicken wings. We had some chow mein, some egg fried rice, which after our previous conversation was a little disappointing, but it always is from the takeaway. I'm not.
What was it? Oh, so sad. Can't believe Chinese fast food don't make good egg fried rice. Anyways.
Well, it's less about the egg fried rice standing out and more the things that you smother it in, I suppose. Sure. We had some chicken in black bean sauce. We had what else did we have? There was some ribs that were in a sort of saucy thing. And talking of saucy things, we had crispy beef in a sort of a sweet and sour sauce. Do you have that?
So I'm not super familiar with that. I'm familiar with the concept because I've seen it online. But can you describe the dish to me? So
essentially, it's sort of shreds or strands of beef that have been deep fried in a batter.
Okay.
And then here's the mental bit. They then sort of cover that with sauce, which we've sort of touched on before. But it always strikes me as a bit odd when you go to the effort of taking a thing and battering it and, getting the oil to the right temperature, deep frying something to achieve that sort of perfect, crispy, golden texture. And then you put it in sauce and it arrives to you and it's completely soggy.
And you just dip it in a swimming pool of sauce. It reminds me of something. So the way you I don't think I ever had these in a Chinese takeaway here in France. They look like beef fries, like beef French fries.
Yeah, that would be a good way to describe them, I suppose. Yeah, kind of like curly fries if they were made of beef and they had sort of sauce or sweet and sour sauce or something like that put over the top of it.
And I guess there's is it a paradox? It could be a paradox. Why would you go such length because especially with French fries, for example. French fries, everybody's aware of, you fry them once, you're an idiot. You need to fry them twice. First in a low temperature bath, then in a high temperature bath, oil bath, so that you get the perfect fluffy and crispiness. And then Heston Blumenthal kicks in and says, no, in fact, you need to cook them thrice. So boil them first, then first bath of oil, then second bath of oil. All this in the name of crispiness.
Well,
and then
look,
why would you pour a ladle of sauce on it?
Well, it depends, I suppose, doesn't it? I'm immediately thinking of poutine. That's the one.
Yes, yeah, you're right.
But I mean, it would be very hypocritical of me to I guess to disrespect that dish, given that it's chips and gravy, which is the
DNA of your nation.
It's a north of the UK standard.
Have you ever? I did not, but have you ever had? It's not the easiest for me, this one, but did you ever eat poutine? The real one.
No. Oh, hang on a second. Be careful with your words there, sir.
Why?
Because I would say chips and gravy comes from the UK, and then
do they?
And then they added cheese in.
Do you
Canada.
ever pour gravy on French fries on chips?
100%, yeah.
Do you? Wow!
Look,
it's a first for me.
Let me
you
put
guys
it this
are
way.
completely out of your mind in the first place.
I've got to say this. It's actually not my favourite way to eat chips. If I'm going to have fish and chips, I prefer to have the crispy battered fish and the chips to be a little bit crispy on the outside, fluffy in the centre, and then maybe dipped in tartar sauce. And because of that, I'm a traitor to the north of the UK. Well, the north of England, because that's, you're supposed to have chips swimming in gravy. But I've never really understood it. Maybe for that reason. I feel like you've gone to all this effort to get them crispy, and then you're just destroying that work.
It doesn't. It could make sense to me. First of all, I want to thank you because I never heard about that dish in the UK. I didn't know you guys put gravy on chips.
That's because you've never been north of Birmingham.
Probably.
So I think most of your trips to the UK. I know you've been to Northern Ireland, but that's a little bit different.
Yeah, that's a different.
But I think in the south they don't really have chips and gravy. They think it's a bit crazy.
It could be.
But once you get into Yorkshire and sort of the north of England, chips and gravy is very common.
So you're saying, before we go further into the deep fry / sauce paradox, you're saying poutine might come from the north of England?
I mean, that's a stretch. I'm being a little bit facetious, but it could have roots in that.
It could have inspiration somewhere.
I mean, poutine's a step even further to be even more crazy because they put cheese on it, and cheese and gravy is just insanity. But anyway,
it's a drunken food. It's a pure drunken food. It's got deep fried, this very rich umami, salty gravy, and then squeaky cheese just to make it funny.
Just to make it a little bit more.
Yeah, squeaky. I'm feeling. I've seen pictures of poutine online. The chips. The French fries, I'm going to use French fries. I'm going to go for French fries.
You go
I think I should. They don't seem to be soggy. I don't know if they're crispy. I suspect them not to be that crispy because they're covered in sauce, but they don't seem to be soggy or swimming. There seems to be like, I don't know.
Well, I think they're probably, they've gone to the effort to really crisp them up because the longer they sit in that sauce, the more they are going to become soggy. They're going to have to because they're covered in the liquid. I've got to say, I feel like for French fries or chips, it doesn't bother me as much if they turn a little bit soggy. There's almost, I suppose, an element of is it like that
memory or what? Just because you had them, maybe.
Yeah.
It's a cultural thing because I feel like. So I had a few fish and chips in the UK, and I never had crispy chips. I never had crispy French fries. They never are crispy.
Well, that's part of it then, maybe. Like chips not in the UK are much chunkier than French fries, and sometimes they're crispy-ish, but they're not like snap in your mouth crispy.
It's impossible.
They've just got a little bit of a crispier coating, and then the soft inside. For me, the chips is not the area, or the French fries is not the area that I'm concerned about the crisp. It's when something's been battered. Whilst we would have chips and gravy, we would never have a battered fish with, swimming in gravy.
That's interesting. So you would not pour any sauce on a battered fish?
What you might do is to take a bit of the battered fish just before you're about to eat it, and then you could dip it in some tartar sauce. I mean, go ahead, dip it in gravy if you want to. Yes. But what I'm saying is, It's a last minute thing.
Yes.
So you're retaining the crisp.
Oh, that must. It's funny because when you describe this action, this movement, I can feel the taste. I can taste it. I can sense that underlying crunch or crisp under that creamy, thick, smooth-ish, because it still is tartar sauce, but sauce. I'm thinking, yeah, I'm going to have loads of sensations. It's going to be like, not decadent, but more like rich and crispy.
Yeah, it's the contrast of the two things, I think. It's
going to be cold and hot
like
as well.
Cold and hot. It has a very similar appeal, I suppose, to crispy French fry mayonnaise. Like that combo is very it's appealing because of the creaminess of the.
I was about to say recently, but not that recently. I made a trip to Belgium, so to Brussels in Belgium, and I only had one night. But I thought, well, I need to have French fries. There's no way in the world I wouldn't have French fries. So I just went out, wander around the streets, find a decent place. And they were selling crispy French fries, very good one, covered in mayonnaise. So much, in fact, that I told the guy, stop, put the mayonnaise on the side. It's just like a mount of mayonnaise on these French fries. It's just like, it's way too much. But even with that, these probably were the crispiest French fries I've ever had. Outside of home, I would say. Because hang
on.
Yeah.
When you say home, do you mean Paris or do you mean literally your?
No,
my
home.
My
grandma's house or my house or my mom's house.
So she made very, very crispy French fries.
Yeah, and to be honest, that's always how I felt without even saying it. You can't get really crispy French fries outside of your own place. Because I feel it's a matter of timing, maybe.
Absolutely. Yeah, if they've been sat if they've been sat anywhere, it doesn't matter where it is, for any amount of time, you're going to lose that crispiness. Especially, though, so this is the other thing, especially if it's then covered in a sauce and is sat waiting in the sauce. To bring it back to the Chinese takeaway thing, this is what I just never get with that dish, the crispy beef thing, is that I actually think it would be really tasty to have these sort of strands of beef battered and just eat them like that, and maybe have a sauce to dip them in as you go for it. But because they're always come in the little sort of Tupperware plastic container with the lid on it and the sauce draped over them, you know, the between the time of cooking, getting into the container, being delivered, and then you getting it to the table, you might have been 30 minutes, and by which time there's no crispy. It's not crispy beef. It's not crispy shredded beef.
It would be interesting to know what's the expected texture. What are we supposed to enjoy? Maybe that would be so funny if you just go and complain to the vendor, to the street stall, or to the place where you got your Chinese takeaway, and you just go like, "Why do you guys do this?" The moment I went home, they were all soggy and squishy. You just go like, "Oh, that's what we are looking for." So I'm because we are assuming that we want crispiness. We want to keep that crispiness somehow, and I feel like this is something that happens. You mentioned like fish and chips. Fish and chips, when they wrap it in newspaper.
Yeah, it becomes soggy. If
yeah,
you leave
exactly.
It too
I
long.
had it in London in a tiny hotel room, and after a long day of shoot, I was so happy to get this back to my place to do that tiny home. The moment you open it, oof, the batter is soft now. It almost flakes off from the fish.
Well,
it's
kind
was
of
a bad fish and chips. I don't know.
No, I think there's two different ways to enjoy fish and chips. There's that one where you've sort of got it home, and yeah, it's a bit soggier and it's a bit whatever, but it still tastes great.
Yeah, it still is good.
But I think the reason why most people absolutely love a day out at the seaside and get some fish and chips is because normally, well, one, the fish is fresher, obviously, but two, you don't get it wrapped, you get it open, so there's nothing covering the thing to make it soggy. So you get open fish and chips, you're going to sit on a wall somewhere, and you've got your fishy chips and your mushy peas, but the batter is always crispier because it's come out of the fryer onto your carton container, whatever, and there's maybe 5 minutes before you start tucking into it.
That's amazing. Is that a personal experience of it? Can you clearly remember easily
that is a personal experience
where you had a fish and chip and you bite into it and you had a crunch?
Maybe. Many, not maybe.
Oh, many.
I can think of many.
Wow.
I mean, it's basically, look.
It's better than maybe.
What happens is, in the UK is, if you've lived there for a few years and you need to pass your citizenship test, to prove that you're a British national, they send you to the seaside.
Okay.
So that you can have fish and chips. It's a rite of passage.
I mean, it makes sense. And you had that crisp, because I don't think I had the right fish and chips then. I never had it.
That's fair enough. Sometimes with these things, you've just got to have it a lot of times before you discover what the good stuff is.
What I do remember is a few different experiences with that dish, since it's slightly on the heavy side in terms of
not even
fat,
slightly,
maybe. Yeah,
not even slightly, very much so.
And I remember having it before shooting a video, like the day before shooting a video. And I was supposed to do like a complicated, filming with loads of people involved. So I was kind of stressed out. And I couldn't digest the thing. It was impossible. I thought, that's just so fatty. That's so rich. I was really feeling bad. And funny enough, the day after the shooting, I was all relaxed. I was all cool. I had a few pints in the pub with the lads after the filming. Well, the fish and chips went like that. I had another one. It was just amazing. Didn't have any problem digesting it.
Yeah, man. It's definitely I mean, we don't always have to have it with beer, but it's well, traditionally you would eat fish and chips on a Friday. Okay. That was it was brought in as a thing because of the Catholic or maybe it's even Church of England thing. It was a religious thing anyway, that you can't eat meat on a Friday. So people used to have something called the fish supper, which is basically fish and chips. I believe originally it's a Eastern European Jewish dish that came over Victorian times. Anyway,
wasn't it made with carp? Koi?
Possibly.
Yeah.
I don't know the exact origins of it, but I mean, what I'm saying is, it has always been a decadent thing, but a decadent thing that even the working class people can afford. So it's not something that basically, I guess it's like a fry up. If you have it every day, you're going to feel pretty bad pretty soon. It's not a healthy thing at all. But then again, I don't think any fried food is healthy. Like deep fried food. So this is the thing. I guess maybe because I've got more of an experience with it, when I eat fish and chips, I'm not immediately thinking, oh God, I'm so heavy, I'm so this, I'm so that, but maybe that's because I'm expecting it. Whereas, for example, now don't get me wrong, I love fried chicken, but I always think, when I go for like the second piece, I always think, this is too much.
Yeah, this is too much.
This is too much.
Immediately, this is one of the food I can crave for, and but I get put off by it, like on the second piece.
Let me throw a spanner into the works then. We're both saying that we don't understand why people would put sauce over a food that you've gone to all the effort of making crispy. But we've also both said that when you have a food like fried chicken, where it's just fried chicken, you can get to a point where you think, oh, this is too much. It's too heavy. It's too rich, too fatty. It's too greasy. Is pouring the sauce over the fried food in an attempt to sort of balance that out, like to take away some of the feeling of how greasy or over the top it is?
How? I mean,
so let me
put
this as an example. I think that the dish that we started out with, that I was talking about, the crispy beef, right? Now I think if I'd eaten the same amount of that without the sauce on it, and it was just the sort of, it comes straight out the fryer and it was crispy and whatever, I feel like I might find it heavier somehow. There's maybe something about a sort of slightly sweet, slightly easier going sauce.
Maybe.
I might not be right. It's just an idea.
Since we're on the Chinese food wagon at the moment, it reminds me of a dish. It's a sweet and sour fish.
Okay.
That is prepared in a very specific way. They keep the fish whole. They do sheets. It's gonna be very weird to describe, but I'm gonna do my best. They do sheets of flesh on each side. They turn basically each side of the fish like the pages of a book.
Okay.
And then each page gets cut into strips.
So they've filleted the fish, but it's still attached to the
everything
body.
is still attached to the fish. And then they cover it in flour and they deep fry it. So it comes out of the deep fryer, a bit like a porcupine, like a hedgehog.
Okay. I can see what you mean, yeah. It sort of splays out the little
blossom.
Bit. Yeah.
And then they place it on a long dish, on a long plate. And they cover it literally with sweet and sour sauce. It's supposed to be called squirrel fish. And it's a very popular Chinese dish, I think, for celebration, for like Chinese New Year or something around these lines.
Oh, wow,
and
okay.
It's playing very much with what we just mentioned. And from what I have seen, they seem to be pouring the sauce back in the kitchen, not in front of the guest.
Uh-huh.
Which means that by the time it comes to the table, it cannot be crispy.
Well,
can it? Because it seems to be crispy.
It can't be as crispy as it would have been initially, but I'm wondering whether it's like it still retains some crisp. I'm looking at pictures of it now. First of all, it's very impressive looking. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah.
But there's.
I can only think of you saying it's crazy. Yeah. Okay, go on. It's crazy.
Doing my Christopher Walken impression.
Exactly.
As a fish, this fish fried, then splayed, sauce atop. It's crazy.
Yeah. Thank you.
There you go.
Thank you for the relief. Cool.
But seriously, I'm looking at this thing and it's really mad looking. I can see it must be like a celebration dish or something.
It is a celebration dish, and it's supposed to be shared. It's supposed to be a fun, playful dish. You place it on a table. Everybody's grabbing one strand of fish covered in batter. Mm-hmm. So you don't need to dip it in sauce because it's already dipped in sauce, and then you eat it. I wonder what's the sensation like, because you've got a different sensation when it must be. Yeah, because the batter gets a bit soggy. It absorbs the sauce. Mm-hmm. And you mentioned something earlier on. You said maybe it helps with relieving, alleviating, lightening the dish somehow, because the sauce is sour.
Right. So there we go. So actually, you've brought up another very good point, actually. Traditionally, with fish and chips, always serve with a slice of lemon. The tartar sauce always has some sort of caper or something a bit sour in there. So they've mixed in maybe a little bit of vinegar or whatever. So I could see actually with this, I'm looking at this thing now, there's quite a lot of sauce on it, but you're right, it looks like it's a sweet and sour style sauce. So that would make sense if that's a counterpart to it.
It's not going to solve the crispiness,
No, that's the thing. I can still feel like, I don't know. Maybe there's a thing that it could be a very specific Western European thing where we are trying to preserve the crispiness.
Possibly.
And
you know how Chinese
don't value that so much.
You know how Chinese cooking is big on textures.
Yeah.
On all varieties of textures. Squishy, slimy, spongy.
But this is the thing that it makes me think, though. Okay, so I think traditionally, to Western cuisines, a lot of the time, out of all the textures, crispy is one of it's towards the top of the list of things that people like. We have a lot of things that are crispy, not least crisps. There are a lot of chips if you're in America. Mm-hmm. We've got lots of snack foods that are based towards that crispy, crunchy texture.
Yeah.
So maybe we're a bit too obsessed with it.
Biased.
The rest of the world is kind of like, yeah, crispy's fine, but there's other things out there.
I like my bag of squishies. That would be funny to be binging a series on Netflix and you're just eating squishies. Like, every bite is just soft and making spongy noises.
Well, I think we tend to preserve that sort of texture for sweet things, almost. Do you know what I mean? Like, as in sweets, gummy sweets have got that sort of weird texture, or cake is kind of softer.
Yeah, when you think of something crispy, it rarely is like something sweet, is it?
Not often. I mean, there's
not
get
often.
biscuity type things, but even they're not like the real crisp fried thing is normally a savoury thing.
Earlier on, you brought in the fact that it might help us to digest, to eat it. It might feel a bit less heavy to have it dredged in sauce. That could be an option. It got me thinking, yes, to the Chinese dish I just mentioned, but also to another one, a Japanese dish. So what about tempura? Tempura are supposed to be the lightest, most delicate crisp you can get when it comes to a battered something.
Yeah, true. It's not a heavy batter.
Do you like tempura? It's complicated. It's the same for me, I think.
I like it, but for example, okay, so when I've been for, I guess when I would have tempura here, it's under a little bit of a different thing in that I might have some on the side with some of the stuff in a Japanese restaurant with a meal that in Japan would never normally go together, but you know, because it's a UK Japanese restaurant. But when I had tempura in Kyoto, I think we went out to a restaurant in Japan anyway.
Yes,
and it was a tempura place, and I kind of found it a bit much by the end because there was just lots of courses of tempura.
I'm interested. Was it only? Cause I guess it's only vegetables. Is it?
It was only vegetables except for the squid one. There was like a sort of I don't know what it's called, but the long langoustine squid type thing. It got a tail on it that you couldn't eat, but you could eat the rest of it, which was served sort of in a soup, which was again it's the same thing. It's like it's
like a curse.
But it's not even like a sauce is one thing, but a broth. There's no way you're not keeping the crispy.
So so at least there's something I think we can acknowledge in this case. There's a broth. They are dipping the tempura in the sauce. Nobody expected it to be crispy. There's no expectations here. I mean, there's one expectation. It's gonna be soggy.
Yeah.
So they are doing it on purpose this time.
Yeah.
Weird. I would never do that. I would never ever serve, because I've seen this and I always ask myself if that was a westernized version to have a ramen with tempura inside.
Yeah.
Why would you? Is it a Japanese thing? I don't even know.
They had that. They had this at that place. It wasn't ramen. It was more. It was a sort of a soup, a broth. But
did they?
In fairness,
drop it. Did they drop it just before they serve it to you?
Yes. So it was like it was not. It hadn't been sat in it. And in fairness, lots of the other dishes that were served were completely dry. I mean, you'd got other things that you could dip the tempura in, but it was a contrast. Some of the stuff was really soggy and whatever, but the other stuff was really crispy. So I guess at least there was a range.
Yes. What about the others? Did you have them with sauce or just salt or just?
They did
dry
like
spice?
There's like a sort of so one of the dipping things was there was wasabi, I think, but there was also a grated daikon thing. Okay. It was like a white radishy.
Yes.
It was really
pungent?
No. This is the thing. I personally I found it really nothingy. Like. It just didn't really have much of a flavour.
Amazing. What's the taste like? It's
just like water.
But it's like bland water.
Yeah. It was water with that slight sort of daikon smell, which, to be honest, is not even that appealing. It's a bit like sulphurous and sort of...
Yeah, I mean, it's not very appealing when you tell me that stuff. It's almost... The flavour is almost like water. Oh, wow. It's amazing. And what about the temperature? Is it warm or cold? No, it really is tepid.
Tepid, room temperature. It was basically
you
just like...
sold that dish, let me tell you.
I was picking up about as much flavour by picking up the tempura and wafting it through the air. That it was just picking up particles from the air and putting flavour on it.
It was actually more flavourful because of the wild yeast you can pick in the air.
Yeah, exactly.
Man, I wonder if we're just missing something here, I think.
Maybe. I mean... It's not actually... I'm saying it's a Western thing. Hang on a sec. I'm saying it's a Western thing, right? But what about, like, American chicken wings?
I mean, we have to talk about them.
They're always
American chicken wings.
dredged in, either the buffalo sauce, which is like a blue cheese thing, right?
Don't get me started on this.
Or there's the hot sauce that they have
the hot
on
sauce
them.
at least, yeah.
Now, at least with the hot sauce, there's always a vinegary element. So I can see that it's got that thing of you've got sour, and that's
and
that
the heat
sort of
as
thing.
well, yeah.
But here's my beef with chicken wings, with American chicken wings. I love chicken wings. I really love them.
We all do.
And you don't even necessarily need to deep fry them, but even, I don't know if you've tried this before, oven baking them, they get kind of crispy just by themselves. The skin just gets a bit crispy. And a friend of mine showed me a thing that I've done a couple of times, is really good. If you just put like a little spice mix and some baking powder.
Baking powder? Wow.
Yeah,
okay.
just sort of lightly coat the chicken in it. Because the fat from the wings absorbs into that, it kind of makes this crunchier coating. And I don't know if the baking powder has some alkaline action that it dries the skin out or something. But it really makes a little crispier crunch on the thing. I guess my thing is, you don't need to do a lot to that. And the fact that you've done that and put them in the oven, then bringing them out and dredging them in the sauce.
But that's where I think we're missing something. Because I feel like internet is covered with that sauce. I've seen countless videos of people just going through length using air fryer, deep fryer, oven roasting to get some crisp. And then always, they place them in a bowl, dredge it with sauce, and then they shake the bowl so that each piece is covered with the caramel sticky red sauce somehow. And I'm just like, it's weird. Why would you do that? But maybe I should just have them at a place that is really legit to see if it makes any difference. Because I had them many times. I had them in France. I had them in the US. Always thought the same. Yeah, I would go for. First of all, I'm not even talking about battered chicken. I think battered chicken is a bit too much for me. Because earlier on you said something about it. I think there's also an element that fish is way less fatty than chicken in the first place.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I think it makes a bit more sense or a bit less nonsense to batter fish more than batter chicken is already moist and fat.
Yeah. Chicken, you don't need to do a lot to it. Fish, when we have the battered fish, stop it. You're grinning at me because I sounded slightly Christopher Walken.
You did. You said fish. I was expecting. It's crazy.
No, I didn't mean to do that.
Okay, no.
Fish. A lot of the time, I find that the fish that is battered and deep fried, it like you said, it's not an oily fish, and also a lot of the time, it's a fish that isn't that intensely flavored, like cod or haddock or some sort of white fish.
You wouldn't batter salmon.
No, or a mackerel or something.
No, you wouldn't do that.
They already have enough fat and flavour in them that when you fry them or grill them or go for that approach rather than boiling, they get their own crispiness. The skin gets crispy. The crispy element is already there in those fish,
Yeah.
And I feel the same with chicken.
The richness comes from the flesh.
Yeah, and I feel the same with chicken. Like, you just need to season the outside of it with some sort of dry, I guess what the Americans would call a dry rub. That sort of thing.
It makes sense. A dry rub. That's a bit what you mentioned earlier on when you said spice mix
or
with a bit of baking powder. Yeah.
Just salt is good for me with chicken. But
the best. Talking about Chinese food takeaway, how good are prawns with salt and pepper? Is that a dish? Maybe it's a
it's in salt and pepper, like the sort of
I
don't know if
salt
it's a
and
Sichuanese
pepper
thing.
Are they fried or
let me just ask you this: does it normally come with like onions and bell peppers it sort of fried? It's dry, but
it's all dry.
Yeah. But it normally has, maybe it's different here. It normally has onions and green bell peppers.
It's
so we get like salt and pepper chicken wings, salt and pepper. I've never had prawns, I don't think. But we get salt. It's like salt and pepper is a preparation that seems to be done for...
Yeah.
It could be chips or chicken wings.
But it feels like it outputs a very crispy version of any food that is very clean in terms of flavor. Here, at least, they butterfly prawns or shrimps. And then I think they deep fry them, but without a batter.
Okay. Yeah.
And then they just place them on a dish, and they are all standing proud and crisp, and they sprinkle over a bit of salt and pepper. Love that dish. It's just like clack. And then you've got the flesh inside that is really juicy and rich and buttery. And salt and pepper is fine with me. I just happen
That's
to like it. But I wonder if, because we have this lean, you and I have this lean for going for the essence of things sometimes.
The thing. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so I'm thinking maybe we're just missing out on the joyful. Chicken wings are a thing everywhere in the world.
I know,
and
man.
They
But
are always dredged in sauce, so there must be a reason we are missing out.
But maybe maybe it's a thing of sometimes because I wouldn't be able to do this because that's just how they come. But like, if there was a place that did chicken wings, I'm sometimes tempted to say to them, listen, fry the chicken wings. Listen, they're coming close.
Stop your bullshit.
Let me tell you a story.
Let me tell you a story of something I had. Yeah.
Would be to say, look, fry the chicken wings by all means. Delicious, right? Just put a bit of salt on there, fine. The sauce, put it in a separate bowl on the side, bring that out. I'll decide whether it goes on the wings.
Yeah, exactly.
Let me make that decision.
Yeah, it makes sense. Put the sauce. That's gonna be a nice relationship with the waiter, I think. Put the sauce in a separate bowl and keep it in the kitchen, right? I don't want to see it on my table. I don't want to see it on the menu. I don't want to see it nowhere. All right? I'm going to be standing here. I'm going to be waiting for my chicken wings, and they're going to come dry.
But what do you think? Do you think that's unreasonable? I mean, it's one of those things that do you become
I think you can.
Yeah.
I would try. We should try.
Okay, so look, I'm going to make you a deal. I want to know how it goes in Paris. I'll let you know how it goes in Leeds. When we're finally allowed to go out again to get chicken wings, I'm going to ask, just leave off the sauce. I have a feeling that they'll say, oh, we can't do that.
It's part of the dish,
it's part
you
of
moron.
The dish. It's like going, I'll get the spaghetti bolognese, but no bolognese for me.
That would be funny if the guy was just like, well, if we do that, it's not going to get soggy. What?
And then I can clap my hands and say, you understand?
Exactly. Maybe it's a purpose. Anyways, we'll try that in 2028. Yeah, 29.
Yeah.
Restaurant reopens. I swear we test that out and we do a sequel to this episode. Okay?
If that doesn't work and we still can't go to the restaurant, this is the final stand of what we'll do. I'll make some chicken wings. I'm going to make 2 batches of chicken wings.
Okay.
I'll put them both in a jiffy bag, but one I'm going to fill up with buffalo sauce, and the other one is just going to be clean. I'll send them to Paris, and then 5 days to 2 weeks later, they'll arrive.
Little mushroomy flavor, maybe.
And you can tell me which is the most crispy.
I will. I mean, if I ever make it again to this podcast, I will. After this. Probably gonna die. This is the last time you hear from me. Man, it's been a pleasure to have this chat with you, and let's talk very soon about other food. How do you call these?
Ponderings?
Yeah, food wanderings. Exactly.
Ramblings?
Ramblings. Yeah, food ramblings. Have a good one, man.
All right, man. Take it easy.
Bye-bye.